Morning sun on my brown skin, CV folded in my hand, mama's prayer on my voicemail. Child, you're stronger than this land. Dusty shoes, but my eyes shine. Lying hard in a cheap suit. Every no that they told me turned to fire in my roots. Yeah. I've been standing in the long line. I've been waiting for my own sign. From the village to the skyline, I'm ready now, I'm ready now. Job box, doorway to my dream. From the word to the big screen. Lift me up, let my name be seen. I was made to rise, I was made to lead. Yeah, job box, open up the way. Give my hustle just one bright day. From the motherland to overseas, I walk through that door with my dignity. Hear the call from the townships, from the delta to the coast. Every language, every accent, turn our struggle into hope. Sister braiding on the roadside, brother courting in the dark. We are kings, we are queens now. Every skill a sacred spark.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll kick up in a minute. Let's go.
We've been standing in the long
Thank you, everybody.
line.
Let's
We've
go.
been waiting for our own
It's an
sign.
exciting
From the
time.
village to the
Welcome on board, everybody.
skyline, we're ready now, we're
Let's go.
ready
Thank you for joining.
now.
Welcome to Joe Wogan.
Doorway
The
to
fun
my
time.
dream.
Go
From
to
the red
let's
to
work
the
together.
big screen.
Hola. Hey, brother Harvey. How are you, sir?
We were made to rise. We were made.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you all for taking the time to hang out with us. As always, in our community, if you don't mind, please give us a like real quick. If you don't mind, just strike the like button on YouTube real quick and click the notification button. Thank you all for being part of our community as always. So today, a lot of us have had moments we are preparing for interviews. So every week, what we try to do now is two key things. We have the first segment to be focused on a job we profile, and I'll tell you some tricks I use to kind of get me comfortable for any role now. So you can adopt it and we can go through one of those roles I saw. The second angle would be for our C-risk preparation, certification preparation segment. You would have a feel of what that looks like. We'll take some questions together and kind of sharpen your skill. We recommend everybody should at least this year do one or two certifications while the market is in progress. Things are hopefully going to get much more robust, but at least we can control you, sharpen your arsenal and having one or two new skills under the belt for sure. So without wasting time, let's jump in right away. So what we saw was, and I'll share the link with the larger community later, but I want to share with you a job we saw out there. And this role, for those of us that are part of our community, you will notice we always take one of the segments was the third party risk is a big one out there. So that's the one we are going to show today. And let me share my screen real quick. We'll showcase it and show you all what we think this role would entail. And my approach is simple. On this particular role, it's a third party risk analyst. This is the bank, First Horizon Bank. And the expectation is for some of us that are, applying already, just take this role, okay, and copy it into our job board. For those of us that are familiar with our program, you go to ChatGPT, and in ChatGPT you can type I'll show you guys real quick. You go to OpenAI. Most of us, if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, I'll be surprised. Let's see. Okay, I don't think you're seeing my screen, but let me share it real quick. And if you don't mind, again, let's see what part of the world you're logging in from. All right, go ahead and type. Let's see. Dallas in the house. We always do that before we get started. Let's see. What part of the world are we logging in from? If you don't mind, just go quickly. Let's see where we are logging in from. Dallas in the house. Let's see. Go ahead and let's see what part of the world you're logging in from real quick. What part of the world you're logging in from? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, nothing showing on the screen. Oh, okay. Let me try sharing again. All right, let me try and share this again. Share screen. Thank you for calling that out. Okay. Let's see. What about now? I think now I see it, so we should be able to see it now. Okay, this is the third party risk role. And what we do is that we just copy the responsibilities here. After you do that, we can go to ChatGPT, which most of us, I believe, should know how to use that right now. If you don't know how to use it, not a big deal. Just go take one of our AI class you see. So if you go to the ChatGPT, just go to under GPTs here. You can type SkillWid, and we have one tool that is pretty good that we use. Just type SkillWid, you'll see the tool. It's called SkillWid Interview Prep. And you can copy and paste any role out there that you're applying to. Yes, you can always do it manually yourself, that's fine. But this is just the easier way. We've streamlined it to kind of address some of those things that we really care about. So let me quickly copy and paste the responsibilities here real quick. I'll send that. Oh, you'll see the way it's going to kind of break it down for us real quick. So we come here and we put that responsibility here. It will break it down for us, right? Once it breaks it down, you can see it will break it to the core functions. In this case, it tells you the 7 key things will be vendor risk management. It will get into specific details of the role itself, risk identification, control evaluation, reporting, working with cross-functional team, risk mitigation. So we know what are the key things. It will also give you 5 sample questions, really, questions that you can prepare for, right? Of course, it's streamlined it to the specific responsibility on that role, right? So that's what is going on right now. So which I think is very effective for most of us. A couple of us have had, I know 2 people that have face-to-face, final stage interview. 2 had it last week. We have 2 people also scheduled for this week. So let's see how that pan out, but that's a good sign. So whatever we are doing, make sure you customize your resumes. Okay. Now, another second thing I recommend to you, also, if you are the type that you are very kind of analytic, you want to see breakdown in visual format. All I did was I took this question that was, the way it generated it, I copied it, and I went to Notebook LLM. Some of you are familiar with that already. Notebook LM Google. It's a Google tool out there. Let me show you guys what that looks like. So you can come to this screen, just go to create new here. Then you can paste whatever was generated earlier on. All right, I'll show you what that would look like. You can paste it on that copy text here, right? Just paste it here. Then click on insert. After you click on insert, ladies and gentlemen, just click on the sidebar here, slide deck. And I'll show you what that would look like once it generates. I did it already before we came. And you can see it said First Horizon IT. Let me see if you're seeing my screen right now. Yeah, okay. I think you guys are seeing my screen. So all I did was I came here under First Horizon IT Risk Management here. And you can tell it has already generated my PowerPoint here. So if I click on it, I'll click on share. This is the same screen you guys are seeing. You can see this is it. But we can go through it together real quick. You guys will see what I mean. So it's kind of broke it down what, the schedule of the role itself, your reporting hierarchy, the pillars of the operation risk that you're going to be working on, vendor due diligence, risk testing, mitigation and tracking, continuous improvement, risk reporting. Now, this is for somebody that really likes to see things in context of what it looks like, right? Some people don't care about getting to this level of details in terms of what they would do. Yeah, it gets into the breakdown of it. You do vendor documentation. For my folks that are, currently we are running a program, you would notice that we are doing a lot of vendor review. This is what they want you to do in this role. This is the job, really. You're going to review gaps. If there's a gap, you would make recommendation. You would document any findings. Then you're going to work with legal, procurement team, potentially cross-functional teams. You would help to update the dashboard, whatever tool they use to showcase information around third party to your leadership. You would likely be responsible for pulling those reports also. And it's just a tool. Whatever tool they use, you adjust to it. Then, of course, ultimately, your executive management summary report, the issue finding and remediation of those issues in general. Then you're going to be proactive in tracking those issues. Of course, with your risk register also, you can tell and follow up on those high risk in general. Okay. Some key things that, like I said, for some of us, we may not care about getting into this level of details. For some of us, we like easy ways to interpret stuff. So some of the questions here you can see, how do you perform vendor due diligence? You talk about the methodology, then ultimately you have to tie it to how it's the output, right? It's not enough to tell me what you did. In the mind of your leadership or your manager, they are thinking of what was the result ultimately, right? So that's why we always use the star at the minimum, right? So even if you don't remember the star, tell me what the problem statement is and what was the output. What did you do, right? At the end of the day, that's it. There was a problem. How did you fix it? That's it. So however you want to tell me, break it down. I need to be able to tie you to a problem and potentially how did you solve the problem, right? At the end of the day, also. So for some of you, you might like this and use this as your guide. That's okay. For some of you, you may not really care um, about using a document like this. But generally, this will be a good way for people that really want to make their documentation and their thought process a little bit more clear. So it's up to you. Okay, somebody says that. Okay, I like that. Somebody says Atlanta in the house, UK in the house. Thank you. DMV, Chicago in the house. All right, thank you, everybody. I can see my Atlanta folks, Houston, UK. Um, oh, somebody said you never knew GPT. Yeah, we have a GPT we created a while back. So always feel free to use this. Okay, somebody Nana said I like the breakdown. Again, yeah, good, great one, Nana. Everybody just use your discretion on. I recommend it definitely. If you have a job or a position you're applying to, break it down. There's something powerful about breaking it into a way your brain can wrap around it easily. Because so many roles are there, you can look at the description but it's nice to kind of have like a mini teacher breaking it and giving you solid context around it and making it make sense to you ultimately. So I think that'll be a good one. Okay, let's see another question. Oh, Mr. Lau in the house. All right. Okay, I love this. Yemi is our godfather here. Okay. It's a preparing thoroughly for an interview, gathering as much relevant information as possible, helps you stand out from other candidates and can be a true game. And I agree with that, Yemi, you're awesome, brother. And that's very important and critical, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of the day, especially it's quite a very competitive market right now. All of us can agree at the minimum. The market has been a little bit brutal. At least the last couple of months has been serious, really. And but so you get to figure every edge you have, and that's one of the reasons we push now for certification in industry certification. As a matter of fact, we're also jumping into that, offering our folks C-Risk prep classes, CISA prep classes, CISM prep classes. Later today, you see us launch out the on-demand prep class for our C-Risk. It's a good certification for risk, and we started last year. We have a 97% pass rate for that. So that's a good one for, I think everybody should. While the market is figuring itself out, all of us, we can just focus on what we can control get a certification, it's a must, I think, really, at this point. Because what will happen is that people that got laid off or that have no job, they are busy getting certification. And some of them actually have experience. So the question now is, when the market settles back, you got to be ready because people have experience and they also have certification. So now, how do you compete? So it makes sense to also have at least one or two to make you stand out, And we've researched those two are very good. C risk, CISM definitely is a must, I think, for us now. Just have one or two of those certifications for sure. And of course, you get to learn, so which is good. All right, so let's quickly see another part of it. I like us to look at the job out there so that you can at least this is for most of us. Don't get nervous about some of these roles. It's not a big deal at all. You can tell. Yeah, let me show you guys real quick. Somebody asked, "What tool did we use?" Go to Notebook LM. It's a Google product. I think it's one of the best things out there. Those of you that have been part of our AI community, you know we try to get you guys the best solutions out there. And never just use one resume the way we used to before. I'll challenge everybody. Thank you. Thank you, brother Yemi. Thank you so much, brother. So that's the name, Notebook LM. In the past, what we did was that, okay, you have one master resume, you apply to many roles, right? We can't do that again. Yeah, that's the truth right now. We have to have one resume targeting roles because you took 5 minutes to customize the resume to fit that role. We're not going to just apply like before. You cannot afford to just apply, use one random resume to apply to everything. You can't. If you do that, the problem is you'll be frustrated because you would have thrown out 500 resume and realized you got maybe 5 calls. And it's frustrating. I understand that. So the best strategy right now is that we have to equally customize the resume. Very important we do that. Okay. All right. Let me take some questions. But that's really, one thing I wanted to just today's segment was to talk about third party risk. Let me quickly go through the line item real quick. Then we can jump into the next segment. The next segment will just be the next 30 minutes we'll just go through some of those certification prep question and answer. So you can just have an idea of what are the things people are asking out there. But let's quickly jump on this one real quick and we'll run from here. So let's take the first one. So if you look here, somebody asked, what do you do with when we talk about vendor due diligence review? And feel free to type what your take is there. What do you think we should think about that when we do vendor review, due diligence review in general? What are you looking for when you do due diligence? What are you looking for? What is due diligence to you? What are we checking at this point in time? You know, if you are doing your due diligence, what are we looking for? And feel free to type. Let's go. What do you think? What is due diligence to you? What are we checking? Are we checking just their name? If their name is special, what are you checking? Let's see your thoughts. Just feel free to type, and it's going to show. I will show some of those. What do you think? What comes to your mind if you want to get a cable company to your home today, and you are doing your due diligence? What do you do typically? What are some things you would do? Are you going to check them online? Are you going to check their finances? Are you going to check their history? I like that. Remske said the controls and security they have in place. I love that. Okay. That is a good one. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, it's one of us would apply to this role on this call. I expect everybody to apply, to be honest. Go and apply. Let's one of us get this job. That's it. One of us should get this job from the bank. You can, call Milita and say, you're the one that got the job. We would all celebrate you, right? One of us must go get his job, to be honest, because there's no big deal. I'm sending the link to the job to us too. Somebody said, identify gaps in the security posture. I love that. Operational capability. I love that. Thank you, sir. Yeah, those are good comments out there. All right. I mean, really, those are spot on, really, at the end of the day, because you're checking and you're looking at it depends on the specific role of this vendor or this third party you're dealing with. So you have to do your due diligence for sure. If it's a cloud service provider, it's fair to say yes, you have to check their financials, their history. If they have a history of compliance, non-compliance issue, you need to know about it, right? So those are big deal. Then, of course, in their questionnaires, you check and see what are the things that they have done, and make sure that they follow your own guideline. Also, very important, because remember again, if there is a potential issue, ultimately you are still liable, right? Don't forget. That's why companies don't mess with third party. You have to take it serious, or else you're ultimately still liable. So it's a big deal. So people take it serious, right? All right, let's quickly go through another one. Identify IT controls deficiency. Let me see what you guys think about this. What do you think we should focus on? Feel free to type. When we say we are looking at IT control deficiency, feel free to go ahead and tell me what you guys think. Just go ahead and type, tell me what you think. Identify IT risk and control deficiency. Let me ask you, if you have to map to, baseline your third party risk management program to a framework or standard out there, what are some of the standard or framework you would likely consider just to make sure you are following those best practice? What are some things you probably consider? Okay, somebody said, all right, I like that integration with our system. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, Mr. Yeni, that's it. Good one, good one. Let's see. Go ahead and feel free to type. All right, I like that. 853, yeah, lapses in their high AM. If they have ISO certification or certified or SOC certified, that's a good one. Yeah, so sometimes if they are a US based company, they might not go the ISO route. So you might see them use NIST. If they're focused on the supply chain issue, they might use 800 and 161, I believe, right? So, if they're focused on privacy and security, you might see them, if they, all their third party service providers, they would have to have SOC 2 type 2 report in general, right? Which is so true. Okay, you're right, Billy. Beauty, you're right. That's true. We have to think of SOC 2 report. Somebody said check which frame their controls are mapped to. Yep. I mean, and those are the things. Security starts with identity. Yeah, you're right, Nana. IAM is always a big one for us, right? At the end of the day, if you mess with access control, honest truth is, I don't even know how you recover. If your IAM is messed up, I don't know how you recover from that, because that's the top entry point and one of the most vital part of any security posture. Okay. All right, that's true. CCPA. Now, CCPA is mostly California, though, because that's for privacy around California. So definitely, you have to think about what are the requirements at that state level. CCP is a big one. They always, you can't mess with those California residents. They will come for you all the time. The same thing with GDPR. So mostly, let me tell you what I'm saying, especially for those privacy areas. If anyone can benchmark around privacy now, your privacy concern with GDPR, you can likely stand the test of time on any other privacy in the world, because I think they are the most rigorous and robust in terms of their requirements. So most people baseline everything with GDPR. As a matter of fact, CCPA is a spin-off of GDPR, because California always have their own thing. So after GDPR came out, California came up with its own. So, but ultimately, it's always a spin-off, I think, most of the time. Okay, let's just see two more. So everybody, please apply for my folks. Apply to this role. It's a good role. Look at this one. Prepare vendor risk assessment report. This is going to be your regular risk assessment. Now, remember again, for your vendors, they would have tier. Tier 1 might be critical, tier 2 high risk, tier 3 medium risk, tier 4 maybe low risk. Depends on the organization. Every organization is kind of different the way they do their tier system. For tier 1, what I've seen a lot of time is you tend to see them have risk assessment yearly for the vendor, because your risk posture might have changed, especially sometimes the big companies. At times you realize there's been a merger and acquisition. Somebody has changed. So the culture has changed. Integration of their risk has changed. The customers or vendors they use, their own fourth party, their own vendor might have changed. So you need to be aware of it. So risk assessment is always very vital at the end of the day also. Collaboration with other stakeholders. So you would have to be ready, be adaptive. Of course, when you're looking at their legal documents or their contract, then legal gets involved. If they are procuring the services and making payment, procurement sneaking, your overall PRM team would be very engaged, and your risk management team, your audit team would be very engaged too. So you're going to work with cross-functional team. It's not just you alone. There'll be other folks that are stakeholders in the process too, in general. And finally, you notice what they have here also for every one of us. Remember, for folks that are in our program, remember we emphasize a lot around, information on tracking, mitigation, risk management, and what are your recommendation of best practice. So it's not enough to tell me there's a problem or there's an issue. All right, big deal. So what are you going to do about it though? At the end of the day, that's it. That's the value to any business. So you have to think and say, all right, we've identified all this bunch of issues. What are we going to do about it? What is our recommendation in general? And are we going to move forward? Another thing you should think about is somebody can ask you in an interview and ask you, you have a particular vendor that is a strategic vendor to you guys. They've been with you for 5 years. However, in one of the instances, they did not provide their SOC 2 type 2 report, which is a report to show that their controls and all their key IT controls are also effective, or you can have access to a detailed report on where they stand in terms of their posture. And they tell you, well, they don't have it at the moment. Are you going to still go ahead and move them on? So this is very tricky most times. So you can make a decision and say, well, we just say, well, no. However, what about if they are currently undergoing the audit and putting together the report? As long as it's documented and it's ongoing, then we can come back and rely on that documentation and see. Because sometimes you realize, okay, people are already working on those SOC 2 type 2 reports at that point in time. Their independent auditors are already working on it. So it might not be a deal breaker, depends on the stage at that point in time. Um, but we're not going to make a waiver to say we are outrightly going to just overlook it. No. If it's ongoing, then we can definitely come back to it to get that report ultimately. As long as there's disclosure, then most times it will be fine. Okay, let's go to the final one. Let's see. But that's really the core. So I challenge everybody, some of us, remember, the goal is make it actionable. Go and immediately start applying. These are roles out there. Go and apply. There's nothing to waste your time about. Don't waste your time. Just go apply. All right. So the second segment, this is 12:20. We always do 30 minutes on a role out there to encourage us to just go apply to see what's going on. The second segment is a very fun one. This is going to be focused mostly around the certification side of things. And we recommend everybody to take a certification this year for sure. Take 2 if it's possible. And you can go, there's a QR code you can see on top of me here. Just go ahead and it will take you to the registration of the certification on demand. But let's talk about this real quick and why it's important really as a whole. I will take some questions here. I'll show you scenarios. Then let's, as a team, go through it and see why it's important. And I'll tell you, it's one of the, I think, easier certification to pass first. Then after you do your C-risk, if you ask me to guide you, I'll tell you take C-risk first. Then you can jump to CISM. Then if you want to do CISA, good luck. That's another one out there you can take. But for most of our guys in GRC IT, the risk one, I think, it's an easier one to pass. That's the way I look at it. And let me give you an example to give you context. So look at this question. An organization is implementing a new cloud-based financial system. What should the risk professional do first? A, perform a vulnerability assessment. B, identify the potential threat and impact. C, develop a mitigation plan. D, implement security control. Now, this is very important. The golden logic, in anything risk management is always we need to identify first. Then you must understand threats and potential business impact to ensure proper prioritization. That is a no-brainer. So if somebody asks you, what should you do first if your organization is deploying a new cloud solution, you have to figure out what are the threats around it still and the impact on the business. I mean, what else would I start with? I'm not going to start with scanning, vulnerability assessment. I'm not going to start with putting a mitigation plan because it's not like I've identified any issue yet. I'm not going to implement security controls yet. First, let's figure out what are the potential threats and impact on the business immediately, right? So you can tell that's, you can see the logic, right, in your mind. So this is the way those exams go. Look at another question here. Which factor is most important when prioritizing risk? Is it going to be the cost of the control, the likelihood and impact, the technical complexity, the time to implement it? Of course, the likelihood and impact on the business. So everything around C risk is a certification by ISACA, the body, and their core is always business first. So when you see questions in your mind, you're thinking of which of these impact the business first, you know? So we have to think business, the likelihood, the impact on the business. That's always the mindset. So you see them say risk is equals to likelihood times impact. You know, it's really the typical formula out there. So you can tell already that it's not as crazy, right? Let's take another one. Which is the best risk response when the cost of control exceed the loss? Let's pause. Think about this for a second. If you're telling me that you need to, in your organization, you need to build an effective data center so that you can keep all your servers and all your infrastructure. I'm going to tell you, you know what? I accept my risk. Anything that gets missing, let it get missing. Why? I would rather go to the cloud because I can't afford to even build a data center in the first place. There is nothing to think about. I have nothing to think about because I don't have the capacity to even build a data center, in my organization. So immediately I say, you know what, I accept the risk. Yeah, you know, let it be. I accept the risk. F it. No big deal. I accept that risk at that point. And it's easy because you can easily say, well, you know what? At that point, we couldn't afford a data center internally. So we accept the risk and we can transfer the risk through insurance, right? And we can mitigate the risk by still going to the cloud, but putting extra security around the cloud solution for us. And in total, we cannot avoid that risk in our case because we know that, hey, we still need to, there's always risk in moving data to the cloud. So in our case, we just accept it and say, okay, whatever happens, happens. We understand from a business point, we should still be fine. Okay. All right. Another one that is exciting. Again, we took a few questions just to kind of get us in the groove so you understand these things are not that crazy. I mean, and the reason that people pass a lot is because we understand the strategy around the way they set the exam. Look at this. Who is ultimately accountable for risk management in an organization? Think about it. The golden logic. Your risk ownership always lies with the business leadership. Think about it. I'm a senior IT director. I'm a senior manager in procurement. I'm the internal auditor director. I'm a IT security analyst. Ultimately, the tone of risk management is set at the board level and your senior management level. Because don't overthink this, ladies and gentlemen. You must always remember everything is a business first. Think about yourself. You run a business online, you run a shop anywhere you are, you're doing your business. It's a business first. Before cyber came into the play and every one of this came into the play, your mindset was, okay, business first, right? Efficiency of my business, taking care of the customer, figuring out my vendors, thinking of my operations. At the end of the day, because I'm now big, I have to also consider certain regulations, right? So at this point, we're thinking of so many things as leadership. You're thinking of the operational risk, the strategic risk, the reputation risk. So now all of those risks is meant for our top leadership to figure out for us. So always remember that anytime you see a question like that, it's pointing towards the leadership. Okay. Another question: which control is most cost effective? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a no brainer, right? I'm sure all of us remember the golden rule: prevention is better than cure, right? It's like somebody, asking you and I, stay away from fast food, stay away from excessive alcohol, stay away from, our doctors tell us, stay away from different things, right? And the reason preventive is always better is because it's cheaper, really, in the long term. In the short, I mean, in the long term, but in the short term, it's not fun because, you know, it's really nice to enjoy yourself at that moment. But it's the same thing for controls in an organization. We have to think in the hierarchy of things. Prevention is the king. It's always better to stop an incident before they occur. That is always the key. And sometimes the prevention we're talking might be as simple as we have a robust security awareness training. That simply means that we're trying to prevent our folks from falling into scam emails because 80% of the attacks in cyberspace is through human link. So honest true, we are the weak link, Maybe with our AI agents built everywhere now with mold bots, all these folks, maybe AI agents might also be weak links like humans. I don't know. But the point is that we are the weak link at the moment. So it's important. We have to understand that in real time. And in an exam, if you say it, preventive is always a top one for sure. What is the primary purpose of key risk indicator? Key risk indicator, you can see the option: detect security incident, monitor risk exposure, measure control effectiveness, identify vulnerabilities. You can see here, the key risk indicators are typically early warning signals or your smoke detector, for future risk exposure. Let me give you an example. Recently, all of us can agree there is a lot of crisis in the mortgage industry recently. Last month, there was I think, 38% increase in foreclosure, right? So a lot of people are going through hard times. There's foreclosure right now, right? So the question is, within the risk management of a lot of banks and a lot of organizations right now, if you've defaulted maybe 2 months, 3 months, so they're already kind of sensing their risk management would have started triggering and say, hey, check on these people. It's kind of unusual. They typically pay every 30 days quickly. And for the last 2 months, they've been, kind of paying a little bit later down the road. Your risk indicator would have triggered and said, this is a high risk. This loan is potential risk that can lead to foreclosure because of the fact that they've not missed for all these years, but they've been missing for the last 3-4 months. So put them in your radar and see how you can put them in extra program, probably to take a month or 2 months off and work with those owners, right? But those are key risk indicators. They've baked it into the process. The same thing for cyber, right? You can build some key risk indicators to say, if there is a constant, you know, um, within your organization, there is constant violation of your policies, and you notice that it has increased. So that might be an indicator to increase and make your training program more robust. You could have baked that in your system. So when you see that, you just say, okay, I make my training program more robust for my organization. But that's really the gist of this, okay? All right. I think we have 4 more to go. Okay. All right. Another one is, before onboarding a critical vendor, what is most important? Remember again, you are bringing a new vendor in, right? Before you onboard them and have them in your organization, what's the most important thing? And remember again, you have to think about assessing the risk of this vendor, especially with a critical tier one vendor, right? This is a vendor holding your customer information, your financial record, or PHI, PII, information that can get us into really big trouble, right? So, you know, you cannot check in on a vendor until you assess the risk they bring, and you can do detailed due diligence on that vendor. The other ones are afterwards. So the first one is always the big one: conducting effective risk assessment as a whole. Another good one here. Which metric best measure effectiveness of incident response? Remember again, I think it was the CEO of Cisco that said this comment. He said, there are two types of companies in the world: those that have been attacked, one, and those that have been attacked but are not aware they've been attacked, right? And I can agree with that. Some years ago, I had a client that, we did an assessment within the environment, we ran it too, and we realized that for the last 5 years or so, there have been an attempt to their server through certain IP in different location for 5 years. So naturally, when you see that, you think, okay, maybe they have a service provider there, they have a location there, they have vendors there, something like that, right? And they told us, well, we don't have any practice there, we don't have any subsidiary there, we don't have any contractor there, nothing. So it was obvious that okay, this was a big deal. So in those kind of cases, you have to understand what is the mean time, the average time to detect an incident and respond. In the case of this client of mine, right, 5 years they had no clue. Now, understandably, in this case, it was mostly around operation technology, manufacturing plants. So they might not really care. Folks in the plants just want to do their job. So we get that. But the point is that it's a very big way to effectively measure your response, the mean time to detect and to respond. How long is it going to take you on the average to detect there's an incident and to respond to those incidents? Very important. But you can see the pattern. The way these questions are structured is to kind of gauge your thinking. But the beautiful thing about it is that in our program, it's a lot of past questions. And the key is one, you start with each of the topic we've taken it. After each one, we now do sample questions. After each one, we do sample questions. So we map every one of the curriculum to what ISACA really wants us to do. So I think we'll be fine for most of us that register immediately also for that. Okay, another one here is a risk professional should ensure IT risk management is aligned with what? Let's pause for a second. Remember again, everything must start with business. If you don't mind, can we all type business first, everybody? If you don't mind, can we type business first, everybody? Can we type business first? If you don't mind, just go business first. Because this is really, really very important. If you get this part of it, you will be always okay. Because in your mind, you're thinking like you own the business. How does this affect business? That's it. Everything else is sentimental. As a matter of fact, I can make a case that before cyber came into play is because there's a business. If there's no business, what are we cyber attacking or figuring out risk on? Nothing. So it's always the business first. If your mindset thinks business first, it's easy to relate with a lot of things because it's not really complex, in my opinion, because you can own it and don't overthink it. Take yourself as a business. Let's say you talk for a living and people pay you to talk, right? So you're a business, man, right? Some of us know that slogan, but that's the real reality of it. So put it from that angle and say, okay, this is business first. Everything else, let's pause. Think for a second. Before the advent of IT, cloud, network, internet, AI now, and all this whole history, in the 50s, we've had businesses that were doing billions of dollars. There was no internet, there was nothing. In the industrial revolution, there was the whole idea of, Six Sigma, lean, a lot of process to make our whole organization more effective, right? And guess what? People figured it out because there was no technology. We were manually doing stuff. We were posting, mailing, and all that, shipping, taking months. But these were still billion-dollar businesses. But guess what? They were still effective businesses. So always remember, IT, AI, they make our business more effective, more efficient. I get it, but it's a business first, okay? All right, let's go to I think we're almost done with that. We'll be out of it in a bit. All right, so that's the risk. So always remember the question, business must be the first thing that comes to your mind. You can see it's very tricky. You could have chosen IT strategy, security policy, uh, even compliance requirement, but always fall back to business. You can never go wrong there. It's always going to be a win for you. All right, final question. Which activity best support continuous risk monitoring? Which activity best supports continuous risk monitoring? Let's pause. Think for a second. At the end of the day, you and I cannot say we can totally eliminate any risk. It's crazy enough to even say, you know what? I know there's minimal risk of earthquake in, let's say, Dallas, Texas, right? We live in Dallas, for example, and the chance of an earthquake might be 0.00001, whatever the number is, right? But at the end of the day, there is a 0.00001, right? At the end of the day, but the chances are very rare, you know. So the same thing happens to the way Isaac sets the exam. You just have to think through it and say, wait a minute, which of these best aligns most with with the best answer? It has to align with business. If you tell me which one supports continuous risk monitoring the most in my head, I'm thinking, would who cares about dashboard? Let me ask you. Who cares about dashboard? In your opinion, if I say dashboard, who cares about dashboard? Just feel free to type if you don't mind. Who actually cares about dashboard? Go ahead and type, please, if you don't mind. So we just said dashboard. Who cares? Who cares about dashboard? Why do I care about dashboard though? Who cares about dashboard? Let's see what you guys think. I like somebody said, see risk help you to think strategically. I agree. It's one of those certification. It challenges your strategic thinking. Okay, I like that. Okay, business first. Business thinks. Okay, set up to forget. Nice modern business there. Yeah, modern consumer. I like that. Okay, okay. Somebody said the system now is continuous monitoring business. Yeah, you guys are spot on because at the end of the day, let's face it. Who cares about the dashboard? The business leaders, really. That's it. Those are the people that care about the dashboard anyway. Because at the end of the day, they need the dashboard to make decision. They need to understand the risk landscape of the business. Remember again, we are back to the foundation first law, business first. So we need that dashboard to get us back to say business first, right? That's the whole idea. If you are monitoring, and ladies and gentlemen, there are so many tools right now for monitoring. So, which is beautiful. There's so much continuous monitoring tools out there. So take advantage of it. So let's see, we are almost done. All right, look at the rule of the mindset. It's a mindset shift. Always think business first. You can see the same thing here. We are back to it again. Always think business first. Very important. The mindset must be business first. So as you write the exam, prepare for it. And you see us do that a lot as we practice. Normally, within 1 month, you'll be ready for the exam. And by your 5th, 6th week, go write it. Before you write it, our only challenge we tell you is that please make sure on the practice exam we have for you, start getting at least 85% of upward, then you can write it. The second thing is ownership. The governance and risk ownership always belong to your leadership at the end of the day. What about the hierarchy? Remember hierarchy? We choose preventive controls first, then detective, then corrective. Because corrective means the damage is done, like insurance, like backup and recovery stuff. So at that point, it's damage is done, right? So preventive is always the first one. What about for math? The cost versus benefit is critical in every decision. So we think from that angle and say, okay, what is the cost benefit also at the end of the day? Then number 5, strategy. Align every risk decision with your strategic business goal. We are back to business. Everything must tie back to business. Anyone that wants to think business strategy in IT, see risk is for you, really. It helps you to shape things. And even when you speak in meetings and when you are trying to align your thought together, because you understand this already, it's a good certification and it's something you can easily pass, honest truth. And but make sure you do the past question. Just follow our playbook. We stand a chance together. I think in our community, we only had one person that did not make it so far out of about 50 people. So we feel good about that. And it was a short, close shave, maybe 3 point or so. So we feel good about it. So make sure you join it. Register on the link up there. You can see the QR code there for the on-demand one. The live session would also come up after also, which is really cool. Let me see if I can see that link so some of you can see it straight away. And feel free to ask questions. We have about 5 minutes more so you guys can get back to work. Thank you for jumping on the call. But we do this every Friday. I'm sure we know that now. We'll make sure we go through one question, then we do our risk thing. Okay, let's see another one here. Okay, let's see see. This is from Joe. Okay, I like this. George said, since the general recommendation is to customize resume per job, are we still expected to post our resumes on job board like LinkedIn? If yes, how do we go about it? I think yes, you can have your resume on any of the platform out there, but when you're applying for roles, I still think it's smart to customize the resume you are using towards that role. I- In the past, it didn't make a lot of difference, but things are they are different now. And thankfully, we are not wood, or rock. We are water. We just move. We figure a way to move past things. That's the reality of it. So we just have to figure a way to search deep and customize. And I've done a lot of search. A lot of people that I've seen recently get to hiring manager stage. A gentleman called me last week and said, "My issue is not getting uh, hiring manager to call me." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I get that all the time." He said, "The only issue is that now converting it to a job." I was surprised. I said, "Okay, that's perfect. That's a good problem to have." Two people said that to me last week, actually, and a lady. So you can imagine, they say, "Oh, that's not my problem." So it means because they've been customizing, the ATS picks them. So if you're not getting calls, then another person said, "Well, I customize, but I've not gotten a call." Okay, let's pause. When you customize, you have to carry the responsibilities on that job board, on that job posting, and use, in our case, you can use AI to customize it to your resume. So whatever they have, it's not just saying, "Oh, I'm applying to third party, I customize it to a third party role." No. What are the responsibilities listed on this role? I copy the responsibilities and I ask AI to integrate that responsibility into my resume so that it would align. When the ATS tool search, it automatically picks it up. So that's the first step. Because if you're not even picked up, then you will not even get a chance to speak to the hiring manager, which is painful. So, and I know it's a little bit extra layer of process, but you are better off to apply to 20 roles and you get 3 calls than applying to 200 and you don't get 1 call back because you've put a lot of work. So I'd rather have you take time to do that so that you can be more successful. We stand a better chance. Okay, let's see another one. Okay, I like this. Nana said, also remember the system or job board don't give job. People give jobs. So reach out to people also. I support that. As many of us as we can, please reach out to contact, reach out to people on your LinkedIn, WhatsApp, reach out to people. You have nothing to lose. I mean, at this point, just reach out to people, and you never know. That's what I've realized. You just never know. In our community, for example, I've had many times people within our community, they have roles, they are posting. I remember a lady, she's probably on this call, she reached out and said, "Hey, the chance of this person getting this job is about 95%. That because I'm the one hiring this person. Except this person is just horrible or something. It's 95%. The only downside in this case was the person had to move to another part of the country. That was the only restriction that made it a little bit tough to fill that position. But you can imagine because it's relationship. Um, so use your relationship to as much as you can. Okay, I like that. Somebody said, Nana said, use your network from your circle and beyond. Okay. Is it advisable to customize resume for different roles within the same companies? I mean, absolutely. If it's what I've seen is use a lot of judgment, right? I've seen cases whereby, and this happened. This is real life, right? This even happened recently. So somebody was given an offer, and the role they applied to was probably a senior role, and they came back and said, "We like you a lot, but we would offer you the junior role because the senior role is filled or something like that." And this person, of course, is still all 6 digits, so it's not like the end of the world. Um, So, you know, many times company will come back, and if they like you enough, they will figure a way to see, oh, this person might fit this better. They always figure things out. That's what I've seen. Yeah, I like that. Every role is different. You're right. All right, we have 4 more minutes. Let's take more questions. We'll be out of here. All right, let's see. Let's see. Anyone else? Anyone else? Now, don't forget again the link to for those of you that want to also join our community. Some of you, I'll leave this for a second. You can join the community here on the our WhatsApp community. You can join it here, so you can get more information on what's coming, what's going on, big time. A lot of people join that are not really in any of our WhatsApp space, but you can use this to join the WhatsApp community real quick, and we would with hopefully for the end of the day you'll get approved in general. All right. Any other question? Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Let's see. Somebody has one question. Let's see. Uh, okay, I like this. I like what Nana said. Can we see this? Let me put it on the key question is always, can this person help me solve my problem? That's what the hiring manager is thinking about. Let's be honest, really. You would do the same thing. If you need a painter in your house, you don't want someone that'll tell you, oh, you know what, I read something about painting. I read it so well. I got PhD in painting. And somebody else come and say, you know what, I painted your neighbor's house, and you want action, not talking, really. So it's the same thing. Can we consult with you on recommendations? Yeah, we can just ping us one on one. We can figure stuff out. That's no big deal. Can we use your prompt to provide with customizer? Absolutely. Use the prompt. Use all your resources. Really, any way you feel. We do research. That's what we do too. All right, 3 minutes ago, so you guys can get back to work. Let's take the final question. Sorry, y'all. It's always fun hanging out, but you'll get back to work. Let's see. During the vendor assessment, if they don't have any of the certifications, is it allowed to recommend the risk assurance is critical for the business? So, if you don't have a certification, for example, I like this. Okay, I love this question, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about this. Imelda, you're awesome. We use a lot of discretion. Let's face it. So, if somebody tells me I don't have a certification, let's say I don't have ISO certification or something, but I've done a lot of assessment on this system. I have a pen test we've done on this system, and we've done an audit on the system independently. Yeah, that matters too. As long as we can document and justify it, it's more important because now I have evidence to back it up that you've done extensive work still. So that should suffice most times. Okay, I like that. It's all about judgment call. Yeah, you know, yeah. The final one, somebody said, show us how to get into the skill with interview prep. Okay, that'll be the final one. I'll be out of here, folks. All right, we have 2 more minutes. Okay, let's see if I can sneak that in real quick. So it's easy. Go to your chat GPT. Let me see if I can quickly show you guys that. Go to chat GPT, share screen. So you go to your chat GPT. Let me see if you can see my screen. And go to GPT. You see GPT here. Just click on GPT here. Then you can search. It has this explore GPT. Then you can just search for, in our case, just search for, you can come here and search for skill width. And once you enter skill width here, you will see this interview prep. Over 1,000 people have used it before also. Then you can add it to your list and give us a good rating on it too. We'd appreciate that. Then you can start it. But it's pretty good. We took time to build it. So then use it, just bookmark it in your in your system, and you should be good. Hopefully that was helpful. All right. Okay. Anything else? Thank you everybody for joining. All right. Somebody said, okay. You guys are just awesome. Okay. Somebody said, which one should I recommend, Cloudy or ChatGPT? Ooh. I'll be disloyal to snitch on ChatGPT right now and say, because they've been good to me. I don't know. It depends on what you're using it for. Personally, I don't want to recommend what you should do. Both of them I think are good. If you're thinking of solid reporting for your leadership, Cloudy might be good for that or better for that. But I will be biased and still do ChatGPT for now. Maybe later you can now decide and say, you know. But for now, Anthropic Cloud is it's excellent for reporting, for running analysis around reports, stuff like that. If that's your need, then that will be perfect. If it's not your need, you can just start with ChatGPT first. Then if you think you need to make a change, you can definitely make a change at that point. You know. Or you can try one month, switch it, try the other one the second one, just do monthly. Then you can choose which one you prefer. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day. And don't forget again, for those of you, some of you asked me about our land project. We have a sister company. It's called LandZeal. And LandZeal is excellent for this main reason of legacy project for a lot of people that want to really, really invest in land investment. It's a big deal out there today. And it's one of those big opportunities. For those of you that are not aware of North Texas right now, it is crazy. It is crazy because right now in North Texas, anywhere you go to right now, it's a lot of ton of investment. And that's the QR code up there for on the lower left on top of my head. You'll see that one for LandZeal. You can join the LandZeal group. And for the LandZeal, for those of you that don't know what that is, let me just show you the screen real quick. And you can spend your time to take a look and play with it if you have time. But it's important to us as a community to involve our people also and let you know what is out there. Sometimes it's just information we all, we lack information, that's all. So at the minimum, you know that there's a huge opportunity for land investment right now. The largest man-made lake in Texas is right in North Dallas right now in 30 years. So these are the good things. Just go to this site, browse and see what's happening there. It will give you some good information. And if you want to join the group, feel free to join the group. I'll send the link also. And the link is on top of me. You can scan it and get more information every week on what is happening in North Texas. You know, the funny thing, they call it the Silicon Prairie right now. You know, Silicon Prairie is like, let me show you guys something very funny. Silicon Prairie is like your Silicon Valley. So the investment the U.S. government has pumped into the CHIP Act has just exploded everything right now. The governor of Texas was in this Sherman. They opened the first fab for semiconductor like a month ago. Let me show you guys real quick. Sherman TI plants with Greg Abbott. All right, I'll show you guys real quick. So at least you know what's out there. You know what people are really. It's just it's a lot of investment going on right now. It's going to be painful when you wake up and you realize, oh, shoot, it passed you and you didn't know about it. So at the minimum, know about it. Let me show you guys. This is from the seat of the governor. Let me share my screen again. At least be aware. All right, be aware of it. Let me share 1 second. I know somebody pinged me one earlier on this, but let me show you guys real quick. Okay. And go and Google this. This is from our governor's office of the governor. This is when they came to Sherman. Over $40 billion investment. So all our own projects that we work on right now, they are within the axis of this Sherman. It's about 60-mile radius. So you can imagine $60 billion investment coming to this axis. So anyway, that's be aware, and at least at the minimum, you know that this is happening within our vicinity. We don't want to just build knowledge, but we want to know what is happening there and our community to also take advantage of big projects out there. All right. Thank you, everybody. That's all we got. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll talk soon, everybody. God bless.
new heart. From the market to the tower, Africa is where it starts. Hands up high for every worker, tailor, teacher, driver, nurse. Every roll a thread of glory. We are blessing, not a curse.